amazing instrument. It has developed into an incredible voice in today's music. So many types of guitars, so many styles of playing, all sorts of gear. How does one make their voice be heard as a guitarist? My name is Jeff Floro, and welcome to All About Guitar, where we talk tone, we talk technique, we talk gear. Where we discover how we can become better musicians in a world of constantly changing technologies, where we take a good look at everything guitar, and sometimes not exactly guitar, but just as important, so we can be more successful as a musician in today's music scene. So sit back and relax, and let's explore all about guitar. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to All About Guitar. We have a great show for you tonight. I'm really excited about this. My dear friend and fellow classmate is back, Pat DiPuccio. You might remember him. He was one of the founding members of the Flipside magazine, and his magazine, I'm proud to say, is in the Hall of Fame. And as one of the major documents documenting the punk movement, basically he documented that magazine, basically preserved all the information about that style of music and all the bands. Very cool. Pat, move your mic closer to you so you can talk. So anyway, he had called me up and we had talked about this. We've been doing a continuing series. We've done one on UK punk and the Detroit scene, and he wanted to do one on power pop. So tonight is our power pop show. And joining me, there's several people I'm very honored to have. He's on the phone calling from, I think it's Cleveland, right?
Which is why I'm wearing the Indians hat right now, of course.
Okay, so it's Wally Bryson, who is the guitarist and one of the founding members of the Raspberries. Welcome to the show, Wally.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, cool. And also joining me, some other people that know a little bit about this and have been contributed in some of the music in power pop. I have Ken Sharp here, and he has done his own. He has his own album out, and he's done it as an artist. But he's also known as a author, and he's written a book about the Raspberries, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's true. Two.
Not just one, but two.
One with Bernie Hojier. Yeah, the first was the first book I ever did, Overnight Sensation, the story of the Raspberries, and the second was Raspberries Tonight. So it's such an honor to be on with one of my favorite players of all time, Wally Bryson.
Yes, and it's great to have you here. And then also too.
Hey, Wally.
and also on the show, we have Rex Broome, who's part of the, if I'm saying the name of the band right, the Armoires.
That's correct, the Armoires, yeah.
Let me get your level up
sorry.
a little bit there. And but he also he's a co-founder of a record label, Big Stir.
Big Stir Records, yeah.
Big Stir Records. So he welcome to the show too.
Thank you very much.
Now,
I get honored to be here too.
What I'm going to do, and we have some special stuff here too, if we get to it. We have some, and I'll let Wally explain where it all came from, but we have some unreleased Raspberry stuff that's going to be remixed and coming out hopefully sooner than later. But what I'm going to do to kind of set it all up is I'm going to play this live clip of the Raspberries, just a little segment, about a minute and a half, of one of their most famous song, "Go All the Way." So I'm going to play that and kind of set it up. And
This from pop art, I hope.
do you know where?
Pop arts are much better than Live on Sunset.
What is this? This live clip, Wally, is this out now, or is this something unreleased?
You can't mix, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, let me play it.
And a Big Boy producer really wasn't it shouldn't have happened. Anyway,
All right.
on, play it.
Here we go. Let's listen to this. This thing is smoking. Hey, take a listen. Well, that gives you a good idea of power pop, man. There's a lot of energy on that track. Anyway, I'm going to let Pat kind of set up. I'm going to pose a question to all of you guys, but I'll start with Pat. I was reading a little bit about I was reading about the Raspberries on Wikipedia, and it said on there, and tell me if this is true, that the person that coined the term power pop was actually Pete Townsend.
It was on a poster that said what nonstop power pop, I believe, or something like that. But that's what I've heard that. The first time I was familiar with that name.
So how would you define it? You can just go around, but I'll let you direct it.
Still melodic music, but with an edge to it, and I don't know how else really to explain it. I just know when I hear it, I really like it, you know what I'm saying? But there's a melodicism to it, and you've got the kind of crunchy guitars and things like that. Stuff like The Who or Small Faces and bands like that came out with this really nice melodies, but there's, the crunchy guitars and things like that kind of take it a little further and give it something more for it. Mm-hmm. More. So that's kind of the way I always looked at it, and it kind of went through, the different phases from Britpop to the present, with stuff like Rex is doing and all,
Well, let's go around the table here a little bit. What do you, Rex?
Well, I think to me, it's a term that's both kind of extremely useful and maybe a little bit problematic, because there are going to be people who, I'm the guy who wrote the book on it, so
well, we're going to get to him.
He'll tell you where there are people that are very very specific about the genre. And that's one of the tricky things, because to some people it's a very broad definition, and like Pooch was saying, almost anything that's melodic rock over the ages would be considered to be power pop. Some people are very, I guess you'd say, Catholic about it, and it has to be very, hey, I'm sorry, it's a term, right? And they have these very very narrow definitions of it, which is totally fine too. I mean, that's what they're talking about generally is the core of it. But to me, the thing that the usefulness outweighs the problems, which is that it's one of the few things that you can talk about melodic, because melodic rock is kind of just a horrible term. I mean, it's just it's sort of like but power pop is something that's had a heyday across a number of different decades. Mm-hmm. There's definitely, when Townsend coined it, the 70s is when it kind of came into its own as its own separate thing, but there's definitely, a lot of 80s college rock would fit the definition. New wave bands for sure. And there was a real resurgence in the 90s, early 2000s, and I can tell you there's a hell of a lot of it being made right now, depending on how narrowly you define it. So I think that you can say that you're doing it without ghettoizing yourself into a decade. So if you're doing new wave, you're doing 80s retro. If you're doing, it's just like any other term like grunge or something that's tied to a decade. Power pop's had heydays across the ages, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's an.
Because I don't the part that I don't understand is that for example, like even some of the stuff like Led Zeppelin, like Stairway to Heaven, to me that's a kind of a melodic pop song. Yeah, it really isn't hard rock, so I don't see but nobody would ever say that's power pop. I don't think.
Let's kick it to the man, I would say.
Well, you know what? You guys gave some great definitions. To me, the Raspberries epitomize everything that's great about power pop, and I would say I would pick 3 songs that really epitomize. If someone said, what's power pop, less than speaking about it, I would say, listen to Go All the Way, listen to Tonight, listen to Ecstasy. Yep. That's all you need.
Yeah, that really is. It really is.
All played by the great Wally Bryson.
There you go.
Yes. And Wally, what's your take on it?
Well, I didn't know that Townsend coined the term. I know that Link Ray, a fellow North Carolina-born guitar player with Indian blood, as myself, Ray influenced Pete Townsend. I opened up for Pete Townsend when I was in the choir, and Link Ray influenced him. Pete Townsend influenced me, so it all comes around full circle. And you know who was really power pop? And man, I miss L.A. But in the Hollywood Inn, Holiday Inn, Johnny Thunder and I from New York Dolls
Nice.
jammed in like
Wow.
my room at the Hollywood Holiday Inn, and that's Johnny Thunder really had like a whole lot of spirit. Technically he couldn't play so good at the time, and I was showing him stuff. I had my Tweed Deluxe amp in my room with me, so we were having a great jam session. And to me, Johnny Thunder was kind of power pop in sort of a more of a punk sort of New York Dolls fashion, but he had a hell of a spirit. Another guitar player that died way too soon, like Paul Kossoff.
Mm-hmm.
Free people wouldn't maybe call power pop, but Free had power.
Right.
Always. Paul Kossoff, there's no one that could quiver like him. I heard even Eric Clapton ask him to show him how he got that quiver. So, but as far as power pop, I saw Townsend play through 2 dual Showman amplifiers at Music Hall in Cleveland, and he was opening up for Herman's Hermits. The bill was us in the choir, then they had the Blues Magoos, and they had their electric light-up suits on, and they told me when they sweated on them, they started getting shocked. You know, I'm like, you mean you're playing and you're sweating, and then your suit starts shocking you? Oh, boy. But Pete Townsend that night changed my life. Wow. So if I influenced anybody on guitar, I owe it to all the guitarists that came before me, like Pete Townsend, like George Harrison, like Duane Eddy, like Link Ray, you know, and the list goes on and on. Rory Gallagher was slide, but pop comes from a lot of different places. I really like the guitar work I did on Tonight. That's picking and plucking strings with your fingers. That's part of the technique that goes into playing Tonight the right way. Wow. I've got some things that the tapes that I have, snippets that you can play, not to mention my new vinyl release on Norton Records. By the way, on you, these tapes are baked. A guy called me, long story short, said, I got Raspberry tapes from Record Plant. They're out in a dumpster, and they're making Record Plant a restaurant. Do you want the tapes? I paid $550 for them, got these tapes. Now, I've had a few of them baked because you have to do it. You only get one chance at these baked tapes, and you make a digital copy, then you can remix. So we've got a snippet of Hands on You, a great song by Scott McCall and I. Talk about two horny kids. You know, if you could play that, this has never been heard before because they wrecked our song. This is how the song should have been. It sounds like the Beatles, if I do say so myself, you know.
All right, well, I'll play the live clip of Tonight that I just want to shout out to Tommy Allen because he sent me the clips for you. And he was the one that...
Tommy knows how to mix. See?
Okay, well, let me go ahead and play the Tonight clip, and then we'll talk a little more. We'll continue on this thought. Because we
I can play the Tonight thing for you live here if you need me to.
All right, well, let's listen to the clip first. Now, I want everybody to know we're talking on a phone, so when I do have him play guitar, we're trying to get the phone just doesn't have the bandwidth, that
tone.
Yeah, it doesn't have the tone. So please excuse that. But let me play the clip here so you get an idea, because this thing is just stomping, this live clip. Song. So here's Tonight. Now, Wally, I want to ask you. I have to geek out here for a minute.
Where's the intro?
Huh?
What kind of snippet was that? Where's the intro? The guitar intro on tonight is what people want to hear.
I was deciding whether I was going to give the intro or the guitar lead. I don't have
Come on.
I don't have.
Seriously, do your homework.
But I have a question.
Now, listen to me. Can I talk now, Mr. Floro?
Yes, you can.
Mr. Host, can I talk?
You're on the air.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Okay? Now, if you want to be the first to world premiere Hands on You by Wally Bryson and Scott McCarl in the Raspberries, be my guest. If you don't have time, you don't got time. There's also Parties Over, an alternate take with a great guitar solo and scratch vocal, and then play on instrumental. Not to mention the live at the Scene Pavilion, You're Gonna Lose That Girl, just the 4 Raspberries. No sidemen, no nothing. We were a good Beatle band. So if you want to get that on, fine, but hey, it's your show.
What I have the clips. I didn't play the whole song. We don't have time. The show's we're already 20 minutes in. But
Tim Sharp could tell you the intro of that song is what's going on.
There you go.
He's right.
okay. I don't know if I can load it in here from here.
Let Wally play it live.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got that. Yeah.
Why don't you play the intro live?
Do that.
That is the solution.
There we go.
I'll be right with you.
All right.
He's putting the phone down to grab the guitar. So, okay.
Does this fucking job anymore.
You should.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's power pop.
Wally?
Yeah.
He has to lay down the phone and go and play the guitar. All right.
That was awesome.
Now, Wally?
Oh, good. Hey, he had the amp down so far before I had to turn it up because it sounded like shit, so I turned it up. So,
Now, I want to ask you something. In the live cuts that we played, what were you using guitar-wise and amp-wise?
I'm not sure which performance that was. I think I was using my Flying V because that's what I recorded the song with.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I was using the Flying V.
And then
Tim Sharp can tell you, though, he watched the show.
I did. I did. Many times. The most incredible shows. I said I would never travel anywhere to see a band except the Raspberries, and I hit almost every reunion show. It was just
Wow.
It was
Do
my.
you remember what he was using?
You've been really nice to us, man, and thank you for all the stuff you've done on us and for all the help you've been over all the years. I gotta publicly say, Ken Sharp has been a true friend.
Very cool.
Well, what little
thank you very much, Ken, for all your help and support.
What little I've given you, you've given me so much more, Wally. So
Thank you.
yeah, but
I don't want to sound like a love fest, but
Wally,
I got to tell you guys, I'm so glad to be on LA radio. It's like 11:30. It's past my bedtime here in Ohio, and I'm east of Cleveland, by the way, about 30 miles.
Well, you're in
and
Menor,
about
right?
6 miles inland from Lake Erie.
You're in Menor?
Up really high elevation by Little Mountain. So,
Are you in Menor now?
no, I'm in Leroy Township. I don't
Okay.
care who knows it. It's a great place. But I miss Manhattan Beach. I lived on Gull Street in Manhattan Beach when I was in California. My daughter Allison was born in California,
Was that when you were?
Granada Hills.
Was that when you were in Tattoo?
And I miss California, especially in the wintertime. I love the autumn here in Ohio. It's beautiful.
Well, Wally,
And
was that when you were in
I
Tattoo?
miss California in the winter, though, man. So I want to come out to California. Susanna Haas and some guy, I think that's working for one of the Beach Boys or Brian Wilson now, was wanting to bring me out to do some Beatles show or something that they do every year. So I'll have Ken Sharp check it out.
Yeah, you have to let me know. We'll have you come in studio. That'll even be better.
That'd be even better. Was that when you were?
Paul Rock, maybe?
Maybe was that when you were in Tattoo? Was that when you were out here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was when I was out in Tattoo.
photos. Yeah.
Horrible mix, that album. They did it while I was in jail. They caught me speeding 110 on the Santa Monica Freeway. And I don't do that kind of stuff no more. I haven't had a drink in over 26 years, thank God.
Very good.
I thank Jesus that I haven't had a drink in 26 years because I did not do well on alcohol.
Now, were you always using Marshalls or did you use Fenders?
I used small Fenders. I used the Fender 410 54 Bassman I bought at Bath Music in Brooklyn. Opie O'Brien was one of our Mellotron sidemen and played sax too. And he took me to Bath Music in Brooklyn. This amp is a 54 Bassman, 410s, and they say it was in Frankie Lyman and the Teenager.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Is that what you're...
Deluxe. I got two blonde Tremolux amps, and I've got an old Vibro Champ, a 64 Vibro Champ amp, and a CBS Champ amp that I'm preamping with a Fender Hot solid state, and that's the rig you heard over the phone.
So that's a Fender. Wow, that sounds great.
Both Fenders have 6 watts, and they have a 6-inch speaker, right?
Yeah.
And I'm playing a rock and roll rescue guitar. It's an Epiphone SG model, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it plays great. It's got the neck that my double neck 6-string should have had. The double neck 6 only has 20 frets. This Epiphone has 22, and it's incredible. Wow. It's like a Angus Young guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm playing better now than I've ever played before.
That's cool.
You sound great. But when you toured with the Raspberries, did they use Marshalls? They had to use bigger amps, right?
We used Marshalls. At Carnegie Hall, I used 3 amps. I used one Marshall 100-watt head with a 412 bottom, and I used my 410 Bassman. Plus, I used a Tremolux driving a 212-inch James B. Lansing 12-inch white blonde cabinet with another Tremolux head.
Wow.
So I used 3 amps at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
But yeah, we went through Marshalls, we went through Hiwatts and SVTs, bad company. I saw them open up. I saw them at the Agora.
Right.
One of their first gigs in America. and they had the Ampeg stacks and that, and so we immediately got those.
Wow, sure.
I'm a total free freak and Bad Company freak too.
Oh, I just saw Paul Rogers recently, so it was great to hear him do free songs. That was really
I
cool.
know. He did an album at Royal Albert Hall with a band. But I hear him and Simon Kirk are going to try and go on. Now, Andy Frazier's dead. I don't know who they'd get to replace him. He was incredible.
Amazing. He was amazing.
But I want the guitar gig. I'm begging him publicly. Paul Rogers, Simon Kirk, Wally Bryson can play Paul Kossoff better than anybody on earth. I'm telling you.
Well, there's a bit. I noticed some of the the voicings and things are very similar to Kossoff and some of the things you played with the open strings and all that. It's really cool stuff.
Pete Townsend showed me how to play the intro to Substitute, and when we opened up for him,
right?
And they were opening up for the Herman's Hermit,
right?
And I asked him, Pete, how do you do? And he had a double neck 6 and 12, and I ordered one the very next day. But he showed me the intro to Substitute. Now, I was the only guy in town who knew how to play it right. We opened up for the Yardbirds at Baldwin Wallace College when I was in the choir.
Wow.
And we're like, me and Dave Burke, the bass player, are like waiting to see Jeff Beck. Because we played in Cyrus City with the Jeff Beck group. Wow. Jeff Beck group had Rod Stewart on lead vocals and Ron Wood on bass, playing a Telecaster bass, Mick Waller on drum.
Right.
But this lineup showed up without Jeff Beck and some guy named Jimmy Page.
Right, right.
And we're like, where the hell's Jeff Beck, man? Where's Beck? So I was real bold. I asked this Jimmy Page guy, I said, how do you think Beck plays this thing in like Happening 10 years time ago or Over Under Sideways Down? And he was such a nice English guy. He's like, well, I believe he plays it like this. And he goes, so I went, wow, this guy's good, man. So he taught me how to do those kind of licks.
Wow.
So I would watch any and every guitar player. I don't care if it was a concert, a club, the street corner, the subway, anybody that played guitars. As a kid, I was so into guitar, I could not stop. My mother would leave a plate of food at my bedroom door because I would be in there practicing my guitar.
Well,
I've been a guitar freak, and talk about gigs and amplifiers and setups. Oh, my God, amplifiers and toned. You guys are right up my alley with this guitar, all about guitar, LATalkRadio.com, channel 1. Okay.
Well,
amen.
Yeah, some great.
Thank you for having this show. Hey, publicly, I got to say one more thing. Thank you to Epiphone Guitars for building playable instruments that people and kids can learn on.
Yes.
Because in my day, cheap guitars, you couldn't play them. I just turned a cheap, an SG knockoff into my slide rig now because you can't play it. The frets aren't spaced right. It doesn't have an adjustable bridge. Cheesy humbucker, fake pickups, but it sounds great for slide.
Hey, Wally.
But thank you, Epiphone Guitars. They make like a really good beginner guitar for $100 that you can actually play. Mine, I ran the serial number. All I can get is maybe it was 85 or 90, 95 in China or Korea. I don't know where it was built, but they did a great job on it. Now they got the CNC computers, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Hey, Wally, how come you like the...
Thank you to Epiphone Guitars for building guitars that students can learn on at an affordable price. Thank you so much.
I need to get a hold of some of those.
Hey, Wally, how come you like the Flying V so much? What was it about that?
Oh, man. I saw the guy in the Kinks, Dave Davies, he had one.
All right,
and
there you go.
That explains it.
That explains it.
Yeah, I love the Kinks. The Kinks.
Yep.
Talk about power and pop and poetry and everything else.
It's true.
Yeah.
Come on. The Kinks, man.
It's true.
Wally,
Tired of waiting for you, and it's your life. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
Come on.
Wally,
Don't get any
I
better.
saw him this year.
Wally, looking at what you were using at the time of the Raspberries and what you're using now, what's changed? What do you think of of the newer stuff, or are you using any newer stuff? What about pedals? Or
On our last tour, Eric wanted us to look like the Beatles, and he got us a bunch of Vox amps. Now, these were modeling amps. Thank God it had one tube in it. But I had to get the Vox rep to come show me how to work this thing. I'm used to tube amp Fenders and Marshalls and shit. And this modeling thing was like, what? And I don't use pedals at all. I've never used pedals in my life. I use a small Leslie at times on the Photomaker albums. Now, there's something you should play if you want to hear some great guitar. Photomaker, and then Vis-a-Vis Photomaker, the second album. That has some amazing guitar by Lex Marchese, too. It's incredible, and that is power pop, but nobody's ever heard of it. It was ironic, but somehow Disco killed it.
I was going to say the name of the game, that very edgy thing there, and you're singing like crazy on that.
Oh, yeah. I was like totally frustrated with the music industry.
I could tell on that one.
I wanted everybody to know.
That's a good edgy song, man.
Yeah, I used my 65 Strat on that.
Did you?
And that's a one-take solo. That's a basic track solo on Name of the Game on my 65 Strat, which I still have. I still have my Rickenbacker 12-string 67. I've got my 67 Gibson Double Neck 612. I've got a Parker guitar. I've got a Music Man. Wow. I've got my Flying V.
Okay.
And a few other odds and ends. I've got an ES-125 that is so old, and it's the second, too. It has 2 on the back of the neck.
Wow.
First, I thought that was a serial number, but no. That means there's a minor flaw in the body, so it was the second. Thing plays great. It's got a wooden bridge. Give me a break. One black pickup.
Hey Wally, did you play a lot on the like the bridge? Did you play a lot more back in the bridge when you were doing your strums? And you're very clean and everything the way you play as well on those Raspberries records, and the choir and everything too. Yeah,
I tried to have all the strings be heard.
Yes, I could tell.
But in my day, it was hard to get engineers to record guitar with any distortion at all. All the early engineers had been trained that the analog equipment had innate distortion, that they couldn't get rid of, but they right away wanted, oh no, turn that guitar down, oh, it's distorting. And I'm like, I want it to distort. It sounds better when it distorts. So I had a lot of arguments with engineers. They didn't know how to, even the first Raspberry album has kind of rinky guitar sounds. To Sheliakis was new to engineering, and he didn't really know how to record guitar. He called around and asked how Pete Townsend got his sound. They said he used a Champ amp on 10, a Fender Champ.
Okay.
Because I wanted first album Who sound.
Yeah. Your flurry in the end of Rather You Leave Me is fantastic. The little thing you do at the end of it is amazing. And your lick in there kind of reminds me a little bit of Tony Hicks. The Holly
Thank
stuff.
you, man.
It's fantastic stuff. And it's clean.
Well, are you going to play anything else, or are we going to just talk on that?
Go ahead.
Well, let's bring it around a little bit more of some of the other, both you, Rex and Ken, give some more examples of, so people understand the style. Because one of the things I want to try to show to the listeners, especially the younger kids now that have not really lived there at that time when this music was happening, is how, as a player, if somebody wants that type of sound, how do you get that sound? I'll just throw it out at you guys, because you guys are players too. So
yeah, there's such a wide spectrum of different sounds in it that a lot of times it is very crunchy. But Pooch was just mentioning that 12-string stuff. Wally's talking about his 12 strings. The jangle sound gets up in there a lot, and that I'm really glad to have him talking about that choir stuff. I love those choir records.
Oh, those are great.
Great deal. So those clean jangly sounds, the compressed, the Ricks in particular, that shows up a lot as well.
Open chords.
Yeah, open chords is a huge thing. Yeah, I mean,
With early Who and Beatles, that was Ricky's were popular.
I mean, Cold Outside by the Choir was recorded on a rented Framus 12-string guitar. Wow. I did like 2 or 3 takes of the song. They rented it for me. I didn't own a 12-string at the time, and I never saw the guitar again.
Wow.
So it was 12-string. It was really good for the recording session. They rented me a Framus 12-string.
Wow.
So that's what's on that record.
That's beautiful.
But I used my Rickenbacker 12-string. I'm on the third neck of the thing to the airline and my own ridiculousness one time. But that Rickenbacker 12 I used on all the Raspberry records.
Wow.
And you have to have Lansing speakers if you want to have clean 12-string sounds. Jim McGuinn was one of my heroes. I saw him a couple of times. And as far as electric 12-string goes, George Harrison was a total, influence of mine. And Pete Townsend, can't explain. He's playing Rickenbacker 12-string. Jimmy Page, I hear, played a Fender 12-string on Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
And I saw him play it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions when he inducted Jeff Beck. We were there that night. We had played the night before. The last time we actually played together, actually.
Wow.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, it was great to see Jimmy Page induct Jeff Beck. I mean, Jeff Beck is so amazing.
Yeah.
Now, we were in Cyrus Erie, and Jeff Beck group told us that I sang the Moody Blues song, Nights in White Satin, and me and Eric had worked with the Farfisa organ and 2 reverb units to get it to sound like strings, pre-Mellotron, anything. But Eric was really good at orchestrating string sounds. His aunt had been in the Cleveland Orchestra, so he knew how strings entered and exited. He had that down. So Jeff Beck group said we sounded better than the Moody Blues when we played that song.
Wow.
But Jeff Beck, before the gig, was going around saying to our manager and to me and everybody that he needed some valves. And I was like, valves?
You got to know that stuff.
Something wrong with your truck? Your tire flat? What kind of valve are you talking about, man?
You got the valves.
It turned out for his Marshalls, he was looking for tubes for his Marshalls.
And the cables are leads.
Valves. We're like, valves? What are you talking about?
You got to be bicontinental, I guess. You got to plug your guitar in with your lead.
Stage fright. He was at Menor Hullabaloo, and I walked back where the stage was, and he was leaning against the wall. And he was like totally had to look like he was scared out of his mind. And I asked him, I said, "Are you all right, man?" He goes, "I'm all right, mate. I'm all right." But he was so frightened to go on stage. But then he went on stage and did all these things with the mic stand and deep knee bends. Ron Wood on bass, the Telecaster bass. They were incredible. Jeff Beck was just incredible. And this is a Hullabaloo they played. Wow. I saw Bob Seger in the same Hullabaloo, the James Gang,
Well, you guys used to play with the
trio,
James. Used to play with the
Jimmy
James
and Dale.
Yeah, used to play with the James Gang, and you also had Phil Kagi come out of there, and a lot of good players coming out of Cleveland.
Oh, Phil Kagi and Joe Walsh are heavily influenced on me. Those are the guys I was competing against, so I had to be good. I really had to be good. Phil Kagi, I would go down and see Glass Harp at JB's in Kent, Ohio, where the shootings took place.
Yes.
And we played down there all the time. And Joe and I were in a band with Dan Kwan, who wrote It's Cold Outside, and Dave Burke for about a week.
Yeah.
And then Joe wanted to be in a harmony band, and he got his wish.
Wow. Of course.
He sure got his wish. He's really in a harmony band now. Plus, he's got Ringo as a brother-in-law. Some guys just step in it, man. And so his sister-in-law gives him Jeff Lynne's number when he needs somebody to produce his album. And look at that band, the Traveling Wilburys.
Sure.
Come on.
Sure.
You've got Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, George Harrison, and Who am I leaving out? Bob Dylan.
That's amazing. That's
That
amazing.
ain't even fair, man.
Oh man. Hey, I gotta ask a question here. Ken, you have a new album out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you and John Oates played on it.
Ace Frehley played on it. I want to get Wally to play on one of my records.
That'd be amazing.
And that's the
John Oates is cool.
He's great.
I just
yes.
missed. I just
is
missed
this
him.
the Beauty in the Back Seat?
Yep.
Okay, so what should I play? Let me play one of your cuts.
You want to play more of a power pop one?
Yeah, give me something that's more like that.
Do Mona Lisa Smile.
Okay, I'm going to play it. Now, again, I'm pulling clips out of it to kind of show the arrangement.
But you're gonna miss the best part anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Because
about
I
the-
didn't do my homework. Okay.
Sorry.
Here we go.
That's my bedtime.
You're cool. You're cool. All right, let's take a listen to Mona Lisa Smile because we're almost out of time.
She found the Lord, and she wore the good book guy, striking all the chords in a crucible of dye. She's got a Mona Lisa smile. She's got a Mona Lisa smile. Lights up the world. Wears her honey diamonds when she works the midnight shift when no one is around. She polishes herself with crucifix. She's got a Mona Lisa smile. She's got a Mona Lisa smile. The lights of the world. Mona Lisa, let me see you smile.
Very cool. Now, is there some electric 12 string in there, right?
There's actually, I
Wow,
don't
that's
think.
excellent, Ken.
Thank
That's
you, Wally.
good.
But
Nice
the
job.
DNA of the song, a lot of the guitar, the inspiration is Wally's style of playing.
Sure.
I mean, that's his bag. I mean, he's the master of it. He's the master of the electric. I mean, to me, he's the Pete Townsend for me.
Yeah.
I did that Candy album
Yeah, I
that
know.
Gilby Clark was on, And
Wally, I was
They
actually
had a song called Whatever Happened to Fun.
Right.
But all I really did for my part was play my 12-string and play the intro to I Want to Be With You.
It makes sense. I called Gilby. I actually wrote to Gilby to try to get him on
album
tonight.
has that Raspberry 12-string doing I Want to Be With You. And it's like, whatever happened to fun?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to fun?
Well, Wally-
They were a great band, Candy.
I know. Well, Wally,
I know that, you know?
I actually contacted
I was the
Gilby.
musical director on that album.
I know. That's why I was calling. And you also both went to Menor High School. See, you and
Yeah,
you and
me
Gilby.
Gilby, man.
I know that. I know. I've got a cousin. I was born in Cleveland. I grew up in L.A., but my family's in Cleveland. But it's like, and I have a cousin from
Pat
Menor.
or Rex?
What's that?
That's Pooch.
This Pat or Rex?
That's
This is
Pooch.
Pat. Pooch. Pat.
Yeah, so Pat, sorry.
Yeah, and so I was born in Cleveland, so that's why I'm wearing the Indians hat here. But no, I actually contacted Gilby, but he says he's probably going to be playing in Vancouver tonight, so he couldn't do it. But I wanted him to come on because I loved Candy. I thought they were great, and we were writing about them in Flipside and everything, But
I love Gilby, man. Gilby is so
He's a good guy.
so on, man. It's
He's a good guy.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I want to ask Rex. Rex has a label he's involved with. And he's got his band and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And my band, the Condors, is on it.
Yeah, that's true. We're honored to have a.
What a great name, man. What a great name. The
Gilby.
Condors. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wally.
Well, I want to play because we're. I told you this would go fast.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
running out of time.
Yeah.
What do you want me to go ahead and play? Fort Ashby?
Yeah, you can play it. We talked about the 12-string a great deal. That's me on the 12. That's my band. And there's a number of other bands on the label,
Spy
including
Genius.
Pucci, Spy Genius,
Plastic Soul.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
I
band.
still got a campaign from My Hands on You, because Scott McCall plays
I gotta hear that.
left-handed guitar backwards.
I gotta
It's
hear that.
only 2 acoustic guitars. Me playing them, my Gibson Blue Ridge. Scott playing, I think, a Martin that, but it's left-handed backwards. So he makes chords that you can't do. And then we do a Lennon McCartney harmony.
Well, it's a
So
great
you
song
got any
too. It's
time,
a great
play Hands
song.
on You. You'll be like breaking it worldwide.
It's a funny
Nobody's
song
ever
too.
heard this.
Okay,
Good.
I'm gonna save that to take us out. The Hands on You clip
a great
at the end of
song.
the show. I'll play that out because it really is a beautiful. It's a
It's a
beautiful
funny
clip.
song
Forty
too.
boys, man, I'm telling you.
But let me go ahead and play real quick. Let me play Fort Ashby real quick so we can take a listen to
This would
that.
be the Armoires.
The Armoires. Here we go. Now you're using a mix. That's just acoustic 12 strings?
Oh
or-
no, that's a Rickenbacker.
There's a Rickenbacker.
There's an acoustic in there, which is weird because we almost never put acoustics on our records. That was a long time ago that we did that. But yeah, that's my. I mean, yeah, Rick 12 is my primary instrument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I barely play 6-string at all, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, that's that's what I've done for about 30
Can't
years.
Explain was a Rick 12.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can hear the McGuinn all over that too. I mean,
Yes.
that's what I mean. Like, it's funny. Every once in a while, people use the term folk rock, and you know, that's what folk rock originally meant. It was all electric. You know, that was the whole point. And like, you say that nowadays, people think of James Taylor or something like that. You know, which is really acoustic. But I mean, you know, it was electric music when that was first. You know. the
Yeah,
thing
when
came
it
out.
be- yeah.
That
No,
was
that's
the whole
true.
point of it. Yeah.
And I told you guys it would go by real fast. I told you we're already out of time. But I really, before I play, I'm going to go ahead and play
Hands on
that
You.
Hands on You.
Awesome.
The end
Great
part.
song.
It's the end
Great
segment. But what I want to do is just go right around the line. I'll start with the guys here, and I'll tell us what you're doing, how to get a hold of your stuff, your new album, where it is, if you have a website, so that everybody knows where everything is to get more information. And I'll start with Ken.
Yeah, well, I'm still. My new album came out, "Beauty in the Backseat," and I'm still recording all the time with Fernando Perdomo.
I was
And
going
my-
to give a shout out to Fernando.
He's great.
Very
To
awesome.
get it, he needed to get a word in for sure.
and my website's www.ken-sharp.com.
Oh, very cool.
Big Stir Records, it's a record label. We also produce a whole series of live shows here in LA and in the UK.
One on Saturday.
One, including one coming up on Saturday at Joe's Great American, and then one coming up at the Oval in Croydon, South London later on in November. We also publish a magazine. That Mr. DiPuccio here was a big inspiration, Flipside. So we do a Big Stir magazine as well, and my partner Christina and I do a radio show. basically just follow it all anywhere you can find Big Stir. And of course, it's a tribute to Big Star, which we can't do the Power Pop show without throwing them out there as one of the other seminal artists. But it's Big Stir, as in causing a commotion. So BigStirRecords.com, and the same kind of obvious places you would find us on Facebook. You can kind of see this whole community organization thing that we're trying to do.
Okay, Pooch.
My band, the Condors, new record came out on last year on Big Stir.
Great name.
Thank you, and so you can go to thecondors.com, and then right now I'm just kind of doing some songwriting with a friend of mine from the band The Pop in the '80s, a fantastic songwriter out there, Roger. So I'm doing some writing with him out in Nashville and things like that, and just enjoying talking to you, Wally, and to being with Ken and
Thank you.
Rex and my friend from school.
And Wally, what's going on with you, and how can people find out more about what you're doing?
New vinyl released on Norton Records. I guess you'll have to Google Norton Records. But it's I was 19 years old when we recorded these songs, and it was the second version of the choir with Jim Snakeskin, Dave Smalley, Jim Bonfanti, and myself. Other than that, I'm playing in my living room right now.
You were doing things with your son, right, for a while? Didn't you have a band?
Jesse was visiting me, and we did a CD called the Bryson Group.
Cool.
It's called Dry, and that's still available out there and online somewhere.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, my son Jesse is the real deal. Talk about power pop. He's a genius.
Wally, is that a vintage recording? And you said those are old recordings from the record?
Yeah, Jesse's stuff is about 15 years old now, 15 or 20. But the vintage recordings we got them off the original acetate.
By the way,
the songs are called I'd Rather You Leave Me, and I only did it because I felt so lonely.
Those are cool.
New release on Norton Records.
Okay, I know what I'm doing when I get home.
That's right. Hey, Wally, one more thing. I love your acoustic playing, man. It's wonderful. You can hear everything cleanly. I think one thing about power pop.
That's the Gibson Blue Ridge.
What is that?
That's the Gibson Blue Ridge acoustic.
It's beautiful.
Gibson Blue Ridge.
It's beautiful. Well, one thing with the power pop, one thing I have to say is the leads and things follow the melodies. They weren't just blowing chops over existing chord changes. They followed the melodies, and the way you played, with the chords and the leads together and all that, this is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And you carried that through the other bands you played with, too.
With all you guys, but it's a God-given talent. You have to do the work.
Yes.
But it really is. I got the whole program. I got the gift. My son Jesse got the program. Wow. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ken Sharp knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's in your blood. It's in your brain. It's music,
It's true.
Well, we're out of time. I'm going to play the a clip of "Hands on You," but before I want world premiere. And but I just want to shout out to your lovely wife,
yes,
Kay.
Thank you, Kay.
She put this together, and
Kay.
you're awesome. And all of you guys, and of course Pooch introduced me to all these people. And Wally, when you get that.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Oh, my pleasure. I plan on having you back next year, and hopefully these cuts that we're showing from the Raspberries will be available, and we can talk more about the recording, because I want to get more into talking about guitars.
Very cool.
There's much more to talk about with you about guitars. So anyway, thank you again. Hang on the line. I'm going to mute you for a minute. After the music stops, after a couple seconds, I'll come back on and talk to you after the show's off. But everybody, thank you so much for being here.
Wally, thanks so much.
Thanks.
My fellow friends, Ron Herbrand, Doug Moore, are here.
Yes.
But here's a clip from Hands on You, unreleased. This is premiere. Here you go.
No hurry. 1, 2.
This is 1.
2.
hands on you. Always want to have my hands on you. Just can't wait to have my hands on you. Always want yours on me too. Always long to get my hands on you. Wait so long to get my hands on you. Won't get long without my hands on you.